Hey folks, it's Zach, CEO of VNUE, and I thank you guys for joining me today. This is new to me, so I'm not normally used to speaking on video like this, so I hope you'll bear with me. Today I am going to talk through a number of things and really just kind of give you an introduction to the company and who we are, what we're about, what drives us, our passion, this kind of stuff. Um, I'm going to let a few questions come in at the end of the session. So just bear with me and hold your questions until the end of that. I'm hoping I can see them. I've actually got multiple screens running right here, so hopefully if anybody makes a comment or asks a question, I'll be able to see that. If I don't, I apologize. I want to kind of dive into it a little bit. Um, Venue is very much a company that is artist driven and motivated by doing things to help artists and help labels and help publishers and writers in a variety of different ways. My personal self, I've been doing this kind of thing for a really long time. I'll give you a really brief overview about myself, and then I'll kind of talk about Venue and how I got involved in it and the team members involved. Venue, I came into this in 2016. Prior to that, I've been involved with a number of different startup companies as well as some other endeavors. Most of my life, I've been a technology geek, if you will, as well as a musician. And back in the day, um, I did what I call cross over the dark side. So in the late 1990s, early 2000, late 1990s, really, I was involved with technology and variety of stuff, ranging from network engineering, software engineering, and all kinds of things like that. And I ended up creating some software when I was working at American Airlines, and my buddy convinced me that I should take that out and raise some money with it. So I actually did. I took the software out, went to some venture capitalists, and raised a $12 million seed round. And I was really green back in the day. This is in 2000. But it was very exciting for me. And really from that point on, I decided that I wanted to leverage what knowledge I had to try to build stuff. I mean, that's what really makes me excited, like building things and doing things that other people say can't be done, basically. So that company was called Voyance, and Voyance eventually got sold to a company called EMC Corporation several years later. I was with Voyance for about a year and then decided that it was not really moving the direction I wanted it to go. So I started another company called Immediatech. Immediatech was originally based on software that was helping artists create music that could not be copied when you burned it to a CD. So it was called NetBurn Secure. It was very much ahead of its time. And that ended up parlaying into our acquiring, sorry, like a gnat or something flying around here, parlayed into Immediatech acquiring the very first version of Disk Live, which is something I still do to this day with Venue. We acquired Disk Live right after they had done some successful gigs with a few artists and ended up immediately going out on the road with the Pixies, who are still good friends and clients of ours. And really from there, this was in 2003, back in that point in time, we were very much ahead of the curve, but we were making strides. We were figuring out ways to deliver content that nobody had ever done it before. And we were doing this in regards to, again, like my passion is doing things for artists and providing them ways that they have control over what they're doing, as well as additional revenue and things like that. So in 2006, we actually had an offer for an individual to purchase that company or buy 95% of the shares, and it turned out that person was Mark Cuban. And it was very exciting. We ended up selling the company, and unfortunately, Mark had some different ideas about the direction he wanted to go, and I ended up retaining the rights to doing the CD burning and the things that we've been working on. and kind of struck out on my own again. So I want to flash forward a little bit to that. Kind of over the years, the idea of doing the live discs and protecting artist rights and things like this, it's transcended several different varieties and versions of the same thing. From the years of 2009 to 2012, I aligned with EMI and we rolled out Abbey Road Live, which was the Abbey Road Live EMI version of Disc Live. And it was during that time that I really started thinking about how we could do things digitally and really scale the business. So I started poking around for software and solutions that would allow us to deliver content to mobile devices. And of course, this time period, there really wasn't anything like that. So at the end of 2012, EMI was in the process of being purchased by Universal Music, and I ended up convincing the EMI guys to, let me roll this back out and continue with the Disc Live brand, which I did. And this is where it kind of starts getting interesting. And I'm sorry if this is kind of a long explanation, but I really kind of want you guys to understand where all this came from and understand that although VNUE is a relatively, new company, there's a lot of experience and a lot of know-how in the team that's behind all of this, right? So after the EMI thing ended, I started looking around for other ways to experience or scale the business, rather. Part of this, again, was the mobile app solution. And in doing so, I ran across VNUE, quite honestly. And lo and behold, the guy that was running VNUE at the time was a guy that I'd met several years prior at a billboard event, Matt. And when we first started talking, he wasn't ready to make a move or anything like that. And we ended up speaking, and I said, look, when you get ready, let me know. This has been my space. I've been working in it literally since 2003. So that point in time was 13 years. And fast forward to the spring of 2016, we started having serious conversations, and I saw the vehicle of VNUE as an opportunity to pull everything that I've worked on over the gazillion years of my career into one place and really make it valuable. So in 2016, I took over as CEO and started to bring in guys that I've worked with for a long time. I brought in Tony Cardenas, otherwise known as Tony Montana. And I don't know if you're watching Tony, but if you are, hey, Tony is known for being one of the original members of Great White back in the day before all the fire and all that kind of stuff. He wrote co-wrote a lot of the big hits back in the heyday, and then he moved on and has had a pretty good solo career after going back and working with Jack Russell to a degree. But Tony also had a really big background in technology. He founded a company called Disc Factory, and this is really kind of how we met. I met Tony in 2010 on tour with Slash. He was playing bass with Slash in Australia, and I think he was a little shocked that he kind of showed up at that gig and found out that we were Abbey Road Live. We're recording that show, and we hit it off and started working together in, I think, maybe 2011. Tony and I have been around the world, Australia and New Zealand, a bunch of other places, recording a lot of the artists we've worked with. So I brought Tony on to VNUE, brought an SEC attorney into VNUE, and brought one of my longtime investors into VNUE at that point in time, and really started kind of knuckling down on, hey, what are we going to have to do to take this vehicle, the VNUE vehicle, the company itself, and create a ship that will be able to sail smoothly through waters and build real value as time goes on. Kind of long story short, in that part of it, the first year to year and a half that I was involved in VNUE, it was really spending a lot of time doing things that needed to be done with the public company, addressing filings that needed to be done and caught up, going back and having some audits redone, a lot of house cleaning, if you will. So doing so really provided a, a good vehicle for us to, in 2017, start focusing on the business. Now, that's not to say we didn't do anything in 2016. 2016, we signed a strategic agreement with my other company, Rockhouse Live Media Productions, which has a lot of the equipment that VNUE uses to go out and record artists. So we struck a deal with Scott Stapp from Creed and went out on his tour in 2016 and made that a success. Really to kind of show, hey, look, we've got all this stuff cleaned up now. We're out there. We're starting to get back out in the market and really show people that we mean business. So in 2017, after the Stapp tour, we had gone through the technology that VNUE had, and Tony and I had made a determination at that point in time that it wasn't ready for prime time in terms of, being able to download stuff to your phone and listen to a concert as you're walking out, which is the goal that I wanted to have. So we made the decision to either look for a platform that we could acquire into the company or to develop it ourselves. And it turned out that there was a relationship that I had with a company at the time that owned Set.fm. After doing due diligence on Set.fm, we determined that it was really pretty much exactly what we were looking for, a platform that, not only could we go out and record artists and the fans could walk out with the Set.fm app, on their mobile device and listen to the concert, in the car. But it also allowed do-it-yourself artists to do the same thing. Really innovative part of it is called the Set.fm Studio app, so that do-it-yourself artists can actually go out there and use our tools and more or less do the same thing that we're doing with the major artists. So we really saw a huge opportunity with that platform. So we ended up acquiring that platform into VNUE and immediately set out to make some minor improvements on it. And our first major show with Set.fm, we did, I'll take a step back. We did a couple of small shows with Set.fm to get warmed up and make sure the technology worked and all that kind of stuff. But then we went on to do our first engagement with Rob Thomas in January of 2018. Shortly thereafter, or shortly before that, is when we had acquired the Set.fm platform. It worked brilliantly. We did somewhere around a 30% conversion in the venues that we were working at. And what I mean by 30% conversion is basically 30% of the people in the audience bought the product. And that's actually double of what our traditional, number of sales would be in any particular venue. So it went really, really good. And many of you guys know I'm also involved in some venues that I have. And something that had bothered me for a long time was the way that music licensing has been done for brick and mortar establishments. And as I looked into the problem more, it became apparent that, and bear in mind, this is parallel to the recording stuff, right? So it's all going to tie together, and I'm going to tell you how it fits together in a couple of minutes. Basically, anybody who owns a business, a brick and mortar business, or a radio station, or any place that has music that's performed, whether it's overhead on your speakers, whether it's karaoke, whether it's DJ or a live band, you have to pay what's called performing rights organizations, PROs, in order to license that music. PROs would be guys like ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC are kind of the traditional ones, and there's been some newer ones that have joined in the last couple of years. The problem with the PRO industry is that they do not have a mechanism that really works well for what they need to do. The traditional way that they license music is they compel a business to sign what's called a blanket license agreement. Now, a blanket license agreement means that you pay X thousands of dollars a year, but you have the right to play any song in the catalog that the artist or that the PRO represents. So let's say they have Peter Frampton as their client. As a venue, if I buy a blanket license and Peter Frampton is inclusive in that blanket, that means that I have the right to play any song that he has in his catalog. The problem with that is that 9 times out of 10, you're not going to play every song in his catalog. And as a matter of fact, most of the PROs have, tens of thousands, if not millions of songs in their catalog, some of which will never get played. That's problem number one. Problem number two is there hasn't been a reliable method to track the music that's being played in a venue. So you have a cover band playing a Peter Frampton song. They really don't know what's being played. So they have used a variety of different methodologies, algorithms, and things like this that are geared more towards current touring artists and songs that are being played on the radio. What happens, though, is because of those algorithms, the guys who are really writing the music that gets played in these venues, they're not getting compensated. Or at least they're not getting compensated what they should be, because the algorithm doesn't match up to what's being played. So after having my door knocked on a number of times by ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and determining that, well, I would ask them a question. I'd say, well, look, how do you know that Elton John is even being played? How do I know Elton is getting paid for this? And this is a question they could not or would not answer. So I actually, that riled me up. Okay, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, it riled me up. So I went and filed and wrote a couple of patents to create a system and a method to identify the music that was being played in these venues and track it back to the rights holders, whether the songwriters, the publishers, the performer, etc., so that we could have a solution that would address this very big need. Lo and behold, along the way, I met a guy by the name of Aaron Buccarelli. Aaron is well known as the guy, the drummer or former drummer from Hawthorne Heights. And Aaron found out that and I'm going to backtrack a little bit to Aaron's day. He found out that he wasn't getting paid for public performances of his work. And that riled him up, and he decided to also go down a path to try to do something about it. When I found out about Aaron had created a company called Soundster. And Soundster, which I'm going to show you, this is a Soundster device right here. It's pretty cool, right? And I'll talk about it again in a minute. Soundster, though, did exactly what my patents were intended to do. We had just started development on this, and we found Soundster, and it was already quite ahead, quite a bit further ahead of the curve. Had hardware, blah, 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 and a platform that was being built. And long story short, after a few months of discussion, we acquired the Soundster assets and technology and patents and all that kind of stuff. And really started kind of focusing on how we could get this platform, which is about 80% complete, I would say, into the marketplace. So let me digress for a minute. I know I'm telling you guys a whole lot of stuff right now, and obviously you see that we're not just a bunch of suits behind a public-facing company. We're actually guys that we believe in this stuff, and I'm going to talk about our guys in a few minutes too. Soundster, this is a problem that ASCAP and BMI and CSAC have done the same type of business model for 100 years. Blanket license agreements, and they have guys that come in your venue and they threaten lawsuits and this kind of stuff. And I've always been a technology guy, and my job has always been, look, if I can automate my way out of a job and make it easier for me to do that, I'm going to do that. So I really see an opportunity with Soundster to take something that is an antiquated business model, and we all believe this, an antiquated business model, and update it to the 21st century. Look, you've got these streaming services, and I know you guys have seen all the uproar about, the low pay rates that artists get because of their streams. This is a bigger problem. It's a global problem that there isn't any really good way to track all this stuff at a granular level, so that on one end the song is being played, and on the other end the songwriters and the artists and the stakeholders are actually getting paid for that actual play. Um, to give you an idea of the, and this is a little bit of market information, to give you an idea of the size of the market, there is a few $100 million per each of the main PROs, SCAP, BMI, CSAC, that are collected each year. So upwards of close to probably between 700 million and $1 billion in the U.S. alone for what's called general licensing, and that's anything that's we just talked about, whether it's songs being played on the radio, songs that are being played in a bar or a restaurant or your health club. That's called general licensing. And a lot of that money just doesn't end up in the right stakeholders. So what we're doing with Soundster, and this is a cool little box, and it's probably 85% done. We've started to roll out a few of these. What Soundster does is it sits in a bar, restaurant, venue, radio station, and it listens to the music, and then it feeds it to the cloud. The cloud will identify the songs that are being played, and then through a couple of different relationships we have, we'll drill down and create a very granular report on what's actually being played in that venue. And we think that this type of scenario is the way the industry needs to go. You don't pay a blanket license for your electric bill. You might never turn your electricity on, but you're having to pay X number of dollars a month just in case you flip the switch on. We don't think that's the way things ought to be. We think the way things ought to be is that when the song gets played, there's a payment attached to that, and that payment is therefore allocated to the actual stakeholders that wrote the song. That's the fair way to do it. So, I'm really, and I'm going to go flash forward again a little bit. We just signed a deal with a group called Pro Music Rights, which is a brand new PRO. They popped up last year, and we are so excited to be working with them because they also embrace the same philosophy, that it needs to be a kind of a pay per play situation with reasonable fees instead of a blanket fee that you don't know who it goes to. We just entered into that relationship literally probably less than a month ago, so it's in its infancy. But what we want to do with that, and what we hope to do, and what the agreement that we signed with Pro Music Rights is that Pro Music Rights is going to require a Soundster unit or a software module in every one of the licensees that signs on with them. So if they have a license with a bar, restaurant, radio station, or whatever, they're going to be required to have a Soundster. And we think this is a monumental step in furthering along what's very close to my heart, which is making sure that these guys get paid at the end of the day. And because of that, we are hoping to have a fairly substantial number of these out in the field by the end of 2020. So there's, like I said, and I'm sorry about it. Like, I'm much better playing guitar and singing than I am actually talking to this thing right here. But hopefully I'm getting my message across that it's a pretty exciting space, and there's a bunch of guys here that really know what they're doing. I'm going to talk about my guys for a minute, and then I'm going to get back to the kind of business as a whole and where we're going with it. Shortly after I brought on Tony into the company, I also brought my good friend and former colleague at EMI, Jeff Zakin, into the company. Jeff was head of digital for EMI, and he also was head of digital for Blue Note and a few other record labels. And he and I hit it off back in the EMI days. This was back in the 2009 to 10 time frame, I guess. And brought Jeff on, and forgive me, Jeff, I can't remember when it was that I brought you on, but it was shortly after Tony came on, in 2000, maybe 2000, into 2016, early 2017. And Jeff is very much like-minded, like we are. He is an expert at all our digital marketing and stuff like that. Has brought many, many years of valuable music and industry experience into VNUE. Very strong label background. After Jeff came on, um, uh, I brought another gentleman on board he was involved actually very early in the company, then dropped out for a while, and then through a bunch of conversations, I was able to convince him to come back and help. His name is Lou Mann, and Lou is not only is a great guy, but he's also was the GM of Capitol Records for about 10 years or so, I guess. And then after that, he went on to be the president of House of Blues Media Properties. He is one of the guys that actually did some of the first digital stuff ever. He released a record with Duran Duran, I think it was '99, which was one of the first, if not the first, digital release ever. Lou is one of these guys who has so much experience in the music business and is so innovative that it's hard to even fathom. You know, I'm humbled that he is working with me and VNUE and believes in this company the way he does. And he's been with me, now I guess over 2 years. And he's focused on, not only some of the strategy that we're working on in the business, but he's also focused on business development and fundraising, that kind of stuff. Just many, many things that I can say about Lou. He's not a schmuck, so that's a good thing. He's very passionate like the rest of us. We also brought on a couple of people in the last several months that I'm equally, honestly stunned. But I guess that tells me and hopefully tells you that we're on the right track. Brought on a gentleman by the name of Jock Weaver a few months ago. Jock is well known for being the leader who took Hard Rock Cafe International public back in the, I guess, mid '80s. Not only did he take it public, he took it public on two simultaneous exchanges. He took it public on the American Exchange and the London Exchange at the same time. He grew their revenue from one location at Hyde Park in London to a $200 million a year operation. After he left Hard Rock, he started a company called TBA Entertainment. And TBA actually ended up growing to be one of the largest live entertainment companies. They were doing several thousand live events a year. They owned a lot of amphitheaters and venues. I would say they would kind of maybe be a forerunner to Live Nation or somebody like that. It was a big operation, and he grew that from like basically nothing. And in fact, a group that was led by Irving Azoff ended up purchasing that down the line. So Jock is helping to shape our strategy going forward, not only for general strategy, but also his valuable insight on institutional funding. Jock is also chairman of a company called Heritage Trust Fund. So in every small undervalued company, a lot of times it's very hard to raise money, and Jock has taken us to that next level so that we can go out and raise an institutional round of funding that will really help the company while also, not only preserving but increasing the value, of the shares that we have out there right now. So I'm really, really excited to have him on board with us. And he's a cool guy too. So, and he believes the same thing. We're doing this because, it's not a thing about getting rich. It's about doing the right thing and making sure that these people that are continuously taken advantage of actually get paid. Finally, a couple of months ago, and this is I think also a very pivotal win for the company. We brought on a gentleman by the name of Jim King. Jim is the founder and president of a company called Core Rights. And we met a couple of years ago at the Music Biz conference that actually I'll be at next week, if anybody is there, happens to be in Nashville. Not only was Jim president of a startup, but he importantly was effectively the CTO of BMI for 5 years, relatively recently. So being that he held a C-level position at a major performing rights organization, PRO, Jim has extremely valuable insight as to how the business operates and how um, we can leverage technology to improve that business. Our goal at the end of the day is we think that we can make life easier not only for musicians and artists and songwriters, but we can make it easier for the PROs as well, as evidenced by Pro Music Rights signing on board with the company. But we're really super excited to have Jim on board, and we're just starting to kind of dig into that. I will absolutely tell you that we've done this on a shoestring budget from day one. Hopefully, at some point, we're going to have the momentum we need to really get the funding we need. But I would continue to do this as long as it takes, as long as we get to our destination. I think we're going to get there. It's really hard for me not to talk about this company without being passionate about it. We're all here for the right reasons. We're enjoying what we're doing, and we think that we're on the right track. And anybody that ever tells me, well, you can't do that or that can't be done, my answer to them is, well, yeah, I'm going to show you. It's going to be done. You're going to see how it's done because we're going to do it. So I want to talk just a little bit more about our main areas of business, right? So I've talked a little bit about Disc Live, and I want to talk about Disc Live. We have an exclusive agreement with Disc Live, so that we can do physical products like these really cool CDs, double disc CDs, right? That you walk out of in concerts. We actually record these on the fly. You walk out with these. This is under the Disc Live brand. Physical products, limited edition. This one does not have a sticker on it, but normally they have a sticker on it that will say exactly how many, unit 1 of 500 or whatever. It's a collector's item. I'll show you one of these. It's one of the Music of Cream that we did not too long ago across the country. So we follow these bands around and we actually record it. So on the night of the show, you can walk out with it. It's probably one of the best things you can experience at a concert. Back in the day, the New York Times did an article on us and it said that this is better than a t-shirt. And I have to agree with them. There's been a lot of concerts I've been to that I wish I could have had this, but I didn't have it. So that's the physical side of the consumer group, right? So you got consumer, business, and this is consumer. The other side, let's see if I can get the app where you can see it on the screen here, and I'm not going to demo it for you because that'll be pretty boring. And hopefully it'll connect. Yeah. So Set FM is this really cool app. Probably hard to see, but it's so great. So you can go on to Set FM and you can pick a show that we've done. Like in this case, this is Rob Thomas from Chumash Casino that we did a few weeks ago, I guess. And you can actually buy it and download it on your phone, and then when you can go home, you can get it on your computer and put it in your iTunes folder or your other music player folder. This effectively creates a scenario where we're delivering content to the fan in the format they want it. So we can deliver it to them digitally, we can deliver it to them physically, and we also do the USB drives, like you've seen, or USB wristbands. So we can do any of this format in the way that the customer wants to have it. And what's important about this is we're not just plugging into a soundboard and taking what I would call a basic board feed off of it. We actually put a mix on it and put a master on it on the fly, so that when you listen to it, it feels like that you're listening to what should go into your ears and not what was actually recorded for the room, because it's a different sound. And that's what we've been able to differentiate over the last now 15 years that we've been doing this. From a company standpoint, this is also a very important barrier to entry for other companies that have come along and tried to do this. And there have been quite a few of them that have come and gone over the years thinking, oh, this is really cool. We can go out, record a show. It's really super easy and blah, blah, blah. Well, things that most people don't realize is there is a ton of moving parts. You have promoters, you've got agents, you've got managers, you've got labels, you've got unions, you've got all these moving parts. And if you don't know how to navigate that, then you're not going to get anywhere. And that's the one thing that I can say that we've done really well is we know how to navigate all that. And because of the length of time that we've been doing this, there's a lot of trust in the music industry, and that creates a significant barrier to entry to anybody that's actually trying to break into this. And there's a few bands that do it themselves, more power to them, but you know, the value that we bring to a major artist that's doing this is not just the fact that we're going to record something and say, hey, here's a CD, go sell it. We actually put an entire marketing, team around this, and we use grassroots marketing. We work with the artist. We have people on the ground at shows that are selling this product. This is why we can achieve a 15% average conversion ratio rather than a 5% conversion ratio. Like a lot of people who've tried this have done. So we're really, in essence, more than just a consumer product company. We're an experiential company. We want to provide an experience to fans that go beyond the end of the concert. When you leave that concert, you're going to be able to take something home with you, whether it's something to put on your shelf and share it with your friends, or you can, put it, rip it into your iTunes or whatever and listen to it on iTunes, or you have it already on Set FM. We're going to give you something that you didn't have before. And there's a lot of things that we're going to do with the Set FM platform in the coming months and year that we think is going to be pretty exciting too. And I can't really go into all that, but it's going to take it up even more of a notch. Now that in a nutshell talks about the consumer side of the business, and this is really where we got our chops. That's where I got my chops anyway. Obviously Lou and Jeff have been, with the label, and Tony, he's a rock star. Bona fide actual rock star, and can vouch for the fact that we're doing stuff that actually helps artists and writers. On the other side of the business, the Soundster side of the business, although we think the recording side of the business is actually, it's a big opportunity globally, and we've operated around the globe, and it's a business that scales much like you do when you have a McDonald's franchise. You build another McDonald's, you repeat the process over and over again. That's how you build it. So it's very scalable, and we have the team to do that. The other side of the business, the Soundster side, is really exciting from a number of perspectives. One is we, especially with our partnership with Pro Music Rights, we want to reshape the way this industry's been done. And we think it's going to take some time. It's not going to be easy. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink. my voice is, we do think it's going to be a big opportunity. And it's just a matter of, breaking the norm, getting a model in place that works, and going out there and kicking tail. And I know we can do that. Soundster has a very unique niche that not only can it be used in brick and mortar establishments, it can be used in radio, it can be used in streaming services, which we're going to build a module to address that. So we can not only just track one segment here, one segment there, we're going to be able to track it all, and that's the goal. There are a few services that track radio, but not to the granular level that it needs to be tracked, so that in a very complicated world, you know exactly how much percentage of a song could be controlled by one or more PROs, and that's what we aim to do. From a PRO perspective, like our new relationship with Pro Music Rights, that's going to be as easy as a report that we hand them so they know where to pay the royalties to. And as a matter of fact, our goal is to automate the payment so that the money is collected, from the licensees, and that money is then automatically sent out to the stakeholders, at certain intervals. The other important thing I want to mention, if anybody's watching this happens to own venues or a business, one of the big goals is also to reduce the cost that venues and businesses are having to pay for this licensing, while at the same time making sure the correct stakeholders are getting paid. So it's really win-win for everyone. And you guys may or may not be aware of it, but there are about only 20 to 30% estimated businesses that are licensed for music compared with what should be licensed. In this country, there are about 700,000 bars, taverns, and restaurants, and most of those are not licensed. We think that if we get the model right, then it will encourage those businesses to become licensed because the entry level will be a lot cheaper than it would be otherwise. Now, the other thing that we've built into, or I'll give credit to Soundster for this, and it's a brilliant idea, is these devices have what's called a beacon in them. And what the beacon does is that it will allow us to send targeted advertising to devices that have apps that walk in a geocentric location, for example. So if I have this in my venue and you have an app, say Facebook, or running an ad that has our technology embedded in it, this has the ability to say, boom, wow, you just walk into so-and-so place. I'm going to send you an ad that says, hey, you have half off your hamburger. And the idea behind this is that we want advertising to offset the cost of the licenses that these businesses are paying. We think that eventually, not only can it offset it, but it can also provide a mechanism for bringing an additional revenue stream into a small business, which is one of those things that's much needed. I can attest to that. So it's really, and I know I've said 1,000 times, and I apologize for that. I promise you, if I was singing a song, I wouldn't be doing that. See, I did it again. Soundster has a lot of innovation in it, and I want to be clear on this, and for those of you that might be watching the stock or the stock market or whatever, guys, we're on the OTC market right now. OTC is a bulletin board traded company. Being as such, there is a lot of volatility. Can I say that right? The stock is volatile. In the last 6 or 8 months or so, it's gotten a lot more trading activity on it. But what's going to happen is it's not going to ever hit the valuation of what we believe we're really valued at until we get onto a bigger exchange like a NYNEX or a NASDAQ or something like that. That's our goal. We want to get there. So I would encourage, well, number one is I would encourage anybody that's looking at the share price right now, is it's probably a good time to scoop it up. I can't, attest to that. It's your decision, but right now it's at a good price, and I know that we've got a lot of things happening. For those that may have bought stock earlier and watched the stock price slip, I wouldn't worry about that. This is a marathon. It's not a foot race. And we're in this for the long haul. We want to build value in the company organically. And I think organically is the way we want things to happen. We don't want to artificially try to change the price of the stock. That's number one, it's not legal. Number two, it's not ethical. So that's not what we're about. We're about executing the business. We're about sticking to our business plan and sticking to our guns, even when people say it's hard to do that, or it's going to take forever, or why are you doing this or that. I'm like, look, we're going to keep our eye on the ball, and you're not going to keep us from attaining that goal. And for those of you who want to be in it for the long haul, and I'm going to use my favorite reference for this, I wish I had bought stock in Apple in 1991. I was an idiot. I should have bought stock. Should have bought it and held it. Because you never know when there is a shining gem. But the gem is usually dictated by the people that are behind that company. And I can tell you that the people behind this company genuinely want this to happen and want this company to be successful. We're not playing games here. I mean, it's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. I mean, one reason I do this is I get to, have a combination of technology and music, my two favorite things in the world. And to have both of them and be able to work in that space, I'm blessed. And I get to go to rock shows. I mean, come on, can't beat that. But the reason I'm doing this, and the reason all of us are doing it, is because it's time to change status quo. And that's what we're going to do. So I would not don't get your panties in a wad if the stock price goes up or down a little bit or whatever. It's going to take some time. But I guarantee you that our motivation here is to make everybody in this company valuable, and that ranges from, really the shareholders to the clients. We want everybody to be happy with what we're doing. And the motivation behind what we do is exactly that. We want to be successful in it. So I'm trying to think. The one other thing I want to comment on is the two sides of the Soundster side, Set FM over here. What I will say is that at some point we want to marry that technology so that the Set FM studio, and we're still trying to figure out the best way to do that, but the Set FM studio, which is basically records stuff on the fly, we want to be able to marry that with Soundster technology so that as songs are being recorded live, they're being identified and licenses are cleared on the fly. And there's no reason that can't be done. It's going to take some work. But having the two, different sides come together, is going to be a monumental goal, and it's going to streamline the way all this licensing is done. We want to make it easy. We want the licensing process to be easy, and I know it's very complicated. Mechanical licenses being music that's played on a CD, performance licenses being played in public. It's all related, but it's all very, very different. And technology has a way of solving that if you can implement it the right way. And that's why we're taking great pains to really study that and understand how to make it work. So I've got about 10 minutes left in my hour. And I have to look over here because my screen, I got a split screen going on. So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time to do it. So I'm just going to kind of watch over here and see if I see anything. So I would encourage you, if you have a question, that's great. If not, I can sit here and talk like an idiot. Which is hopefully not what I sound like. But while I'm waiting for a question, I will tell you that May 16th is my 3-year anniversary at VNUE. And it has not been easy. But I would not change it for the world for 1 second. It has been absolutely fulfilling. I'm not in this to get rich. I'm in it to facilitate change. And I knew, and this is not my first rodeo in a public company, by the way, kids. My first public company was a MediaTek, the one that Mark Cuban bought part of, or most of, actually. I knew what I was getting into when I became CEO of a publicly traded company again. My first rodeo, it was trial by fire. I learned a lot. And I parlayed that experience into this company. So I know what to expect. I know the ins and outs and the pitfalls. And trust me, it's a lot more expensive to run a publicly traded company. But the upside for that is you can build real value and build real wealth for those who put their faith in you. And that's kind of what we want to do. I have no questions here. You guys, there's 12 of you now, so or at least it says there's 12 of you. I don't really know how many that is right now. I will say that, excuse me, and of course you guys know this, I'll give you a couple of little updates. We're kicking off our tour with Rob Thomas at the end of the month. This is the first major tour we've done with VNUE. Now, we've done a lot of smaller tours over the last year and a half, 2 years, which I'm very proud of. I got to work with one of my all-time favorite bands, Scandal, which we've done quite a few shows with Patti Smythe and Scandal. King's X, Jeff is a huge fan of King's X, and we've been able to do a bunch of shows with them. We did the Music of Cream tour. We're probably going to hook up with them again at some point. Scott Stapp was amazing. I'm so humbled to be able to work with him, and hoping we'll be doing something with him again at some point. I think we signed 12 artists in the space of the last 14 months or so. So that's a lot. That's a lot of business, and we want to get to the point in that side of the business where we're running multiple, simultaneous tours. But we're really super excited to take it to the next level with Rob. These are large venues, anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000 seats. So and it'll go a lot of places. Oh, hello, Tony. I see you there now. Okay, I'm seeing more comments at the bottom there. I think I missed that. Doug DeJong. Doug, how are you doing, dude? Yeah, we'll talk about Australia, man. It's coming. Clark Cotton, how you doing, man? Ed Finn. So when do you expect to start taking in revenue? We've actually already taken in revenue. We actually posted a little bit in 2016. We posted a little bit more in 2017. And whenever I'm going to say again, first year and a half was really spent getting the company vehicle in the position it needed to be in. So with the 2016, 2017 revenue, that was really just kind of getting started. 2018 was better, and 2019 is going to be much, much better. So we have already generated revenue, probably not meaningful revenue up until maybe 2018. But in 2019, we think we're going to do quite a bit more. At least, low seven figures is what I'm thinking. And again, this is a guesstimate at this point, but based on a tried and true model with the live music products and with what we expect to do with Soundster, I think that's very feasible. Looking through here again, seeing what else we got in here. Let's see, Clark. Yeah, earnings per share. Yep, you're right, Clark. Let's see what's going on. I don't see any more new questions in here. I will address one of Clark's comments. The production possibilities, 3 million plus artists and thousands of venues, has it spot on. The relevant industry, the concert industry, it is projected to be 31 billion in 2022, and that's pretty good. That's a lot of money. And the direction of the music industry for quite some time has been going from traditional record labels and recorded music to more on the live side, experiential stuff. And there's a lot of streaming things going on these days, but what's different about what we do is we're putting the experience in your hands, in your pocket, so you can take that home with you and you can cherish it and you can bring it to your friends. There's a lot more that we can do with that business too, and I think you're going to see a lot of that happening as well. Patrick, yeah, you're quite welcome, Patrick. I'm very passionate about this business. I'm honestly, I've been kind of doing the same thing for 15 years now, actually probably 17 years. Only this time I'm pulling what I call all the separate columns into one vehicle. And together with this incredible team that I have around me that for some reason believe in me, we're going to do amazing things. And that's not to say that, I mean, the first startup I had, Power Up, we turned into Voyance, it was pretty cool. I mean, that was my first real rodeo, crossing over to the dark side of a startup company. But this by far is the biggest technology opportunity that I've had, the biggest market opportunity, and I cannot begin to tell you that this is by far the best team that I've ever had. It's just, these guys are amazing. I want to mention Nate Shaw too. Nate is our lead engineer. Nate started working with me probably also about 8 years ago. I did several tours together. We did Seether, and I think he might have been on Bad Company, a few others. But Nate's been a long-time believer, and I was lucky to snag him up, shortly after we regrouped all this stuff under the VNUE emblem. And he's going to be going out with Rob. And I'll also mention that, I'm based, the company's based in New York, and I travel back and forth, and I'm based in Memphis. And I'm very proud that we're able to also get Mid-South talent into into VNUE and working with a company. I'm all about trying to bring opportunity to those who are really talented and really put forth the effort. So I'm going to give a high five out to Rachel Helton, who came on to help with support several months ago. I'm going to give another high five out to Jace Harshman, who is going to be joining us for this tour coming up at the end of the month. And then we just also added Stephanie Sims, who you might know from the Mid-South rock scene around here, singing for a band called Pray For Me. But she's helping with our social media along with Jeff and the other folks we have. But overall, I'm about 2 minutes away from being out of time here. Let's see, do I have financing lined up in the talks? We're always in financing mode. So we are actually working on a larger round of private funding that will be going out. Our goal is to do a larger round, which is like in the $1.5 million range, which is not that much money because we think we can cash flow fairly quickly. But then what we want to do is raise a much larger round in the $10 million range, which will allow us to effectively, what I would say, swing the bat and really knock it out of the park and scale the business more rapidly. Being a public company, it's relatively easy to get capital, but you have to be really careful about it. So we've tried to be fairly selective about the capital we've taken to the company. We've had some good investors, and we're just very careful about how we take investment into the company. And that's part of the strategy, in that the more careful we are about how we bring investment into the company, the better it's going to work out down the line when we really start to build value in the company, and the share price more correctly reflects the true valuation of the company. Hopefully that answered that question. Does anybody else have any questions for me tonight? I'm going to look at the comments here, so if you have anything, this is a good time to do it. Let's see. I'll end it with what else. I will plug the fact that pretty much everybody in the company, we're all musicians or have played before. And in fact, Tony and Nate and I have played together a number of times. So I think one of the things that really makes our team gel is that we are very passionate about the art, and we want to take our knowledge in our different areas, whether it's a label or whether it's in technology or whatever it is, and use that to the advantage of really pushing forward the music business into a new era. So I've got new comments here. Let me see what I got. Oh, thanks, Clark. Yeah, Ed, yeah, correct, is that we want to try to, I just saw that comment, sorry about that. We try to prevent as much dilution as possible. I can't predict that. But again, I think that the key thing to remember here is that we're in a marathon. It's not a foot race. And as a public company grows, I'm sure there's probably going to be some dilution. I mean, it's going to happen when you bring investment in. But I think that the key here is that we have guys involved like Jock who have taken small companies like Hard Rock to a level that would never be attained without that kind of talent, and taking a company from a $9 million company, for example, to a $200 million company. Even if there's dilution, there might be a lot of pieces of the pie, but those pieces are going to be a lot more valuable, and I think that's kind of the direction that we're trying to go. I don't like doing artificial things like reverse splits and things like that. I think the company needs to be allowed to grow organically and through the talent of the management and the staff. And again, it's a small staff, but we know what we're doing, and We know it's not going to be easy sometimes, but it's attainable. And as long as we have fuel in the tanks, which I think we'll continue to have, and then we're going to get there. And at some point, there's going to be like a linchpin. There's going to be a moment that it's just going to explode, you know. And I can't wait for that day. You know, is it a little scary? Yeah, of course it is. But it's also exciting because I know that day is going to come, and I know with every day that passes, we're getting one day closer to that. So hopefully that answered that question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and exactly, Clark. The revenue will absolutely answer, you know, any dilution issues. And, you know, as I said, I think this is going to be kind of our breakout year for revenue. Takes a little time. We've been patient. Well, I say patient, but I'm impatient because I always want to get there like really fast. But I know we have to just keep plugging away, doing what we know how to do best, keep our eye on the ball, and just execute. And that's really kind of all it boils down to. I'm going to show you a quick video real quick while I take a quick drink, and then I'll make a couple of closing comments. But the video you're going to see it's really cool. It's about what we did with Alter Bridge, and this is during the time my team was called Abbey Road Live. But I think you'll find it interesting. My good friend Dan Catullo had shot this, so check this video out. I'll be back with you in just 1 second.
Abbey Road, I think, approached us a couple years ago to initially see if we wanted to do this idea of selling the shows on USB drives to give to people as they walked out.
I think it's a great idea, and maybe it's a great show, maybe it's not a great show, but it's their show. It's the show that they went to.
I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool vibe.
And I know Mark, the first night, I think it kind of stressed him out a lot because he's like, oh, this is being recorded, this is being recorded, this is being recorded.
And I just decided to go back to my old ways and just play loose and have fun.
It didn't even faze me, really. I didn't even really think about it.
I think it's a great, a great thing for fans, especially to literally from the last note of the night, 4 or 5 minutes later, they can walk out with a recording of the entire show.
Sorry, that was just a really short, like, little blurb about our time with Alter Bridge. We went literally all across the U.S. with Alter Bridge. We went to all over Europe, Australia. So it was awesome. But the whole point of that little video clip was to give you an idea of one of the reasons that makes it so exciting. There's nothing as exciting as a live show, at least in some, in my heart, there isn't. The only thing better than being at the show and doing this recording and stuff is actually playing, yourself, but that doesn't happen all the time. So I'm going to show you one other little clip, and then I'll let you go because I don't want to bore you to death. But I want to show you a little quick description of what I talked about with Soundster and what Soundster is utilized and how it impacts the different segments: songwriter, venue, PRO, etc. So this is a little movie that the Soundster guys put together, and I think it's very, very well put together and tells the story very well. So just watch this, and I'll be right back with you.
You own a business. You might not realize it, but music helps drive your business. Nobody wants to dance at silent concerts or shop in a store without something playing in the background. To legally use music in your business, you need licenses from groups called performing rights organizations. Each of these organizations license different songs, and they all charge different rates. Proposed licensing changes may soon mean you will need even more licenses. The problem is, your fees are based on an outdated licensing model that allows you to play millions of songs each year, way more than you can actually use. Even worse, the wrong songwriters could be collecting royalties from your fees. It's time to make the music licensing industry fair for both businesses and songwriters. That's where Soundster comes in. Soundster identifies the music played in your business and tells you with which organization each song is registered. This data allows business owners to negotiate fair license fees based on actual music usage. This also helps songwriters earn the royalties they deserve when their music is used commercially. Soundster can help your business save money by helping you pay for only the music you use. This is similar to cutting the cord with your cable company and only paying for the TV shows and movies you watch. Soundster also provides unique in-venue advertising opportunities for businesses to make even more money. Getting started is easy. Connect the Soundster device to your sound system, and you can access music reports online and in your email. If your business uses music, make sure you have licenses from rights organizations to avoid huge fines. For businesses already paying licenses, stop overpaying for music that you don't use. Let Soundster give you the data to negotiate fairer fees and help songwriters earn the royalties they deserve. Sign up at the link below.
All right, this time I'll unmute it before I start talking. So there you go. So that's just a short overview about Soundster. We're very excited about that. We think it's going to be able to facilitate a lot of change. So in my closing statement, what I'll just say to you guys is, first I'll address any shareholders that might be watching. Thank you for your belief in VNUE. I want you to keep holding that flame for us because we are going to get there. We are very fortunate to have an amazing team, patent pending technology, years and years, in some cases decades of experience in our respective spaces. All of us have had successful exits from other companies, and all of us feel like this is by far the biggest opportunity that we've had. For songwriters, for artists, for venues, for PROs that happen to be watching this with Soundster especially is an opportunity to change the way something's been done for a long time, and it's overdue. A few years ago, technology wasn't around to be able to address this. Today, technology is around to be able to address that, and through my guys and through the expertise we have in our space, we're going to leverage that technology to make that change happen. That means for songwriters, you're going to get more money in your pocket. Hopefully for venues and businesses, you're not going to have to pay as much as you do for licensing, and you're going to have comfort knowing that that money is actually going to go to the person that deserves it at the end of the day. Even for radio stations, they have the same problem. They have to pay a blanket license agreement. So we feel pretty confident that we can help them get lower rates. And really, I'm completely stoked about the new relationship we have with Pro Music Rights, and that's promusicrights.com. If you're a songwriter, I would strongly urge you to hit them up and sign up with them, because they're going to be using our technology to keep track of the music that you're playing. So there's not going to be a better way to ensure that you get paid for the music that's being played in public, or if somebody else is playing your music. But I'm really excited about that relationship. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, for being able to shape the industry, to change the way it's been done for a long time, and to create a new dynamic and a new reality. So I think that's it for me. I have talked myself out. I've drank almost a whole 44-ounce cup of water here, which means that it's going to be bathroom time pretty soon. But I will encourage you guys to check out the website, VNUE.com. Check out the set.fm website, and it's www.set.fm. If you're an artist, download the app. It's free, and use it to sell your music online. Check out soundster.com, soundstr.com. That'll tell you all about Soundster. And then last but not least, check out my website, zachbair.com. I've got a blog on that, and I've got some snippets of music. I've got a new record out. My buddy Daniel Dwight played on that. Daniel with Saving Abel back in the day. And, shameless plug. So thank you guys for your faith in VNUE. Thank you for your faith in me. And we'll post this video. I'll leave a link up to it on the Facebook page that you can get to it, and I'll maybe see if I can move it to YouTube or something as well. Feel free to share it. Let people know about the company. Let people know that we're trying to really make a difference. And you can always reach out to me, contact@VNUE.com. I am very receptive. I'm on this job pretty much 24/7, so questions or concerns that I can answer, I'll be happy to. In the meantime, keep rocking, and thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's been interesting. I don't want to know how many times I said but I know it was a lot. So have a great evening, folks, and I hope to see you soon. I may see you out on the road with Rob Thomas. Take care.